Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back to my Robinhood portfolio. What I thought I'd do today is talk a little about why I pick the stocks I do. A lot of you guys have been asking why I have chosen the particular stocks that are in my portfolio. A few of you have mentioned Ford and why I have so heavily invested in Ford. So I thought I'd go through and recap how I initially pick stocks and then how I evaluate the stocks I pick on another level. The first three criteria that I use, you guys have probably heard these if you've watched my other videos, are three criteria that I initially screen stocks with. So those criteria are: first, it has to be a stock from a large cap or large market capitalization company. That is a company with a total valuation over $5 billion. Second of all, it has to be a stock from a blue chip company. That is a company that's a household name, a market leader in whatever market segment that it is in. And then it also has to have a good dividend a high dividend payment. Typically, I consider that to be anything over a 3% or so. And then after having initially chosen a stock based off of those three criteria, at least screen the stocks, then I go ahead and take a look at the stock at a little bit deeper level. So Ford is a stock that we can kind of do that with here. So it meets all three initial criteria. It's a large market capitalization company. If we go down to the stats here, you can see its market cap is 51.64 billion. It's a blue chip stock, a famous automotive company. I know there's only a few automotive companies, but Ford has been one that's been around probably the longest. It's a very good company. It has a strong record. And it also has a great dividend payment as well. I can see there the dividend yield is 4.702%. So it meets all three initial criteria. And then after, kind of getting past those three thresholds, I also take a look at the stock to make sure it's also meeting three more criteria. First, it has to be a safe stock. Second, it has to have a good yield. And third, it has to have potential for good growth. So on the safety issue, any large market capitalization company, for the most part, is safe. And as well as being a blue chip company, those two together really mean that this company is going to be around for quite some time. And besides those two things, it has to be a profitable company. That is, it has to be turning a profit year in and year out without a lot of variation in that. With regards to yield, it has to be, like I said, a good dividend yielding stock, a high dividend yielding stock. I would consider that to be anything between 3 and 6%. If it's below that, that's not what I would consider a good yield. And if it's higher than that, the company might have a very large burden trying to give that back to the investor every year. And potentially the dividend could go away because the company just couldn't support that level of dividend. So good dividend is 3 to 6. Higher than that is much more risky and puts a lot more pressure on the company to get that dividend to the investor. And then the third one, it has to be a stock that has some growth potential to it. And not really with market capitalization, but with the dividend itself. So any company that can increase its dividends. I've mentioned Dividend Aristocrats in the past. That's a company that can do this for 25 years plus. My stocks don't necessarily need to do that, but they do need to show growth over at least a 5 to 10 year period. If it does that, it means it's a strong company, it can maintain its dividend, and it's most likely going to stick around for the long haul. And as you guys know, I like buy and hold strategies over day and swing trading, although I do a little bit of that for fun. The majority of my stocks are buy and hold for at least a year for the tax benefits, for long-term capital gains and dividend taxation purposes, but also because they're good companies that essentially you can buy and hold forever, as Warren Buffett would say. So let's go ahead and take a look at Ford with regards to those three additional criteria. Unfortunately, Robinhood doesn't have those stats up, but I did look those up for you guys. I have these in a spreadsheet essentially when I go through and evaluate a stock. So with regards to safety, it's again, blue chip, high cap company. And then with regards to profitability, there's a number of different variables you can look at. I typically look at the gross and net margin as well as return on investment. So for the gross margin, Ford has 15.3%, net 2.7%, and return on investment is 27.2%, excuse me. So that means for every dollar invested in the company, you essentially get 27.2 cents back, which is very, very good. And then on top of that as well, it's a low volatility company. The profitability has stayed pretty much the same over the long haul, over the last 10 years or so. And it has been dipping down a bit here in the projected forecast for Ford is to decrease its profitability a little bit here moving forward. But there's a number of reasons why that is happening. I'm not going to really go into that, but I think it's still a very, very, very good company moving forward. I think it's a very safe company. With regards to yield, you can see there the dividend yield is 4.7%. Another thing to look at is the dividend payout ratio. So for Ford, the dividend payout ratio is, I think, 47.8%. And typically anything within the 30 to 45% range is good for a company. This is a little bit higher than I like, but it has a good growth potential to it. And then it's also a company that's been increasing its dividends for a while. So it meets the not only the safety aspect, but it meets the yield and growth characteristics as well. So that's why I like Ford. That's why I'm heavily invested in Ford. I think it's a great stock moving forward. If I pull up the 5-year chart here, it really doesn't give the stock a good representation of what the stock has done in the past. You can see here, if I scroll back, it's goes to 1051, but if we could scroll even further back, 15, 20 years, this stock was actually trading in the $50 to $60 range at one point. So this is really cheap on the chart with regards to a long-term price for Ford. And if you factor in inflation and a number of other cost adjustments, this stock is very, very cheap. So I'm dollar cost averaging this, buying Ford. I'm going to be continuing to buy Ford moving forward. I think it's got a great, great long-term potential, not only for its dividend payment, but also for capital appreciation as well. So for all those reasons, I'm invested in Ford. Those first 3 initial reasons: large cap company, blue chip stock, high dividend yield, and then breaking it down a little bit further, some of the same criteria: safety, it's blue chip, it's high cap, it's profitable company with a good return on investment and good net margin, low volatility with regards to its PE ratio, and it's got a good yield, not too high, but a very high yield stock nonetheless, and it's got a good growth potential as well. Not maybe a dividend aristocrat, but a company that I think can maintain its dividend moving forward. So for all those reasons, I'm invested in Ford, and I look for other companies like Ford. If you go through my portfolio, the majority of my stocks fit into that criteria. Both criteria, actually, all 6 criteria. I know there's some overlap between a few of those criteria, but for the most part, that is how I take a look at stocks. It doesn't need to be too complicated. There's some other, things I didn't talk about, but for the most part, this is what I really take a look at when looking at stocks. I just wanted to talk about how I pick stocks. Let me know how you guys pick stocks, if there's anything similar in what you do, if there's a vast difference in how you pick stocks, or there's other criteria. Let me know. I'm always interested. As you guys know, I'm learning about the market and always like other perspectives. So kind of with that, I'll end the video here. As always, if you enjoy my videos, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Building the channel, having a ton of fun putting out these videos. Hopefully you guys are learning a bit as I am. I've learned a ton since I've opened up my Robinhood portfolio and have started making some videos for fun. So again, let me know what you guys are doing with your portfolios, any good picks for my portfolio, and like I said, any criteria, maybe some criteria I haven't really taken a look at or appreciated yet, let me know, and I'll take a look at those. And until next video, we'll see you then.